Hello and welcome to Upstack America's Oracle EBS Financials Functional Training. My name is Bob and I'm the lead senior consultant for Upstack America, and with me today I have Victor, who is also a senior consultant, and today we are handling General Ledger Lesson 29, and Victor, please walk us through.
Thank you, Bob, for the introduction, and welcome everybody to Lesson 29 of our Oracle Financials Functional Training. Today we are going to look at security rules. In our previous lesson, we looked at the concept of data access set. We already know that a data access set is used to grant access to a ledger. Okay. However, in our previous lessons, we have seen that we can use data access set to either grant full access to a ledger through a responsibility or restricted access. Okay, and we did this using the balancing segment or management segment. So overall, the main function of the data access set is to give access to a ledger. However, we can use the balancing segment or the management segment to determine whether to restrict that access. Now, security rules, on the other hand, are used to grant or deny access to values in any segment through a responsibility. Okay. So, while for data access set, we saw that if we want to restrict access to a ledger, we can use a management segment or the balancing segment, and there are segments which cannot be used as management segments in the data access set, such as the intercompany and the balancing segment and the natural account segment. However, for security rules, access can be denied or granted to any value and in any segment. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether that segment is a balancing or is a natural account. With security rules, you can grant or deny access to any segment. So what would a scenario where we are using security rules be like? For example, just like we saw when we are talking about restricted access with data access sets, we can have maybe groups of users, and we want to give various level of access to these users, maybe depending on their seniority or something like that. So we can say, for example, that senior accountants can access all the accounts. However, mid-level accountants will not be able to access the payables account, and the junior accountants will not be able to access the cash account. So these are just random security rules that I have come up with for the purpose of this explanation. But this would be what a scenario where we can use security rules would be like. Okay. So, in order to implement security rules, these are the steps that we need to follow. First, we need to enable security at the value set. Okay. And then we need to enable security at the segment level. So why are we doing this? The reason why we do enable security for both the value set and the segment is that sometimes you have shared value sets. Okay. So for instance, the example that comes to mind is if if in our chart of accounts we have an intercompany segment, then the company segment, which is the balancing segment, and that intercompany segment can share that value set, okay? Because the intercompany segment is for when there is intercompany transactions. So those value sets can be the same. So you want to enable security at the value set and then at the segment level, so that you can implement the security rules at the correct segment, okay? So after we have done that, we need to define the security rules themselves. So we will see that there's kind of a hierarchy to security rules, and you will see that at the securities rules window, and I'll explain what that means, but it's not complex. We have seen it before. And then just like the data access set, for security rules to work, we need to assign them to responsibilities. So we are going to create new responsibilities, and then we are going to assign the security rules that we create to those responsibilities, and then of course we assign the responsibility to a user, okay? So we already saw yesterday with the data, we already saw in our previous lesson the data access set, that this is what happens. We have a data access set assigned to responsibility, then to user, okay? But for the data access set, you can only assign one to one responsibility, okay? So you have one data access set for one responsibility, which is then assigned to a user or multiple users, okay? Now for security rules, you can have multiple security rules assigned to a single responsibility, right? Which enables you to combine or implement various levels of security rules, because you can assign multiple security rules to a single responsibility, right? So in order to implement security rules, this is the navigation that we need to follow. So setup, financials, flex field, validation, then security, define. But remember, we have this. These are the list of setups that we need to do in order to implement the whole thing. So let's go first to the value set and enable security, okay? So I need to find my Mozilla. Let's go to Mascani group GL. So let's go to setup, financials, key, then values. Sorry, I took the wrong navigation. Let's go to segments. Chart of accounts is Mascani. So when you come here to segments, you can go straight to the value set from here. Okay, so you go down to the segment that you want, and then you can go to the value set. Right. So when you go to the value set, where do you enable security? Right here. So you see where it says no security, security type. So you have these three options. Hierarchical security, what does that mean, and what does the opposite, non-hierarchical security, mean? So this is in a situation where we are dealing with parent values. We have talked about parent values before. When you enable hierarchical security, it means that if you have a parent value which has child values below, then those child values will be included in the security rules. Okay, that's when you select hierarchical security. However, when you select non-hierarchical security, each value is treated as individually, regardless of whether it's a parent value or a child value. So if you enter a parent value in your security rules with non-hierarchical, it will be treated individually, and the child values under it will not be affected. Okay, so we are going to do non-hierarchical, and let's save that. Now remember, we need to enable security both at the value set level and at the segment level. Okay, so since we need to make changes to this segment, we need to do something else first, because if we open like this segment screen, we can't change anything. We need to first unfreeze our flex fields. Okay, so let's close this, come here, select OK, then go to segments. Then the segment that you're working with is the natural account segment, or the account segment. So open, and where do you enable security for this? Right there. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so we were unable to enable security for our segment, but this is how we're going to solve that problem. So first, let's unfreeze our flex field structure. Okay, so we can make changes to our chart of accounts. Let's go to segments, and then let's first enable security for the segments. Okay, so let's open that and enable security. So that allows us to do that and save. And then we can now go to the value set, and okay, now let's select our non-hierarchical security, and that's there. And let's save. So everything should be all set now. Okay, so let me just click save, make sure everything is, and freeze your flex fields and compile. Okay, so that's that. Um, so we have done this too. So the next step is to define security rules, then create new responsibilities, then assign the security rules to the responsibilities. All right. So this is the navigation to create security rules. So let's go straight to that. Security define. This is the window that pops up, and we usually we define security rules by segment. So that's or by value set. So that's why uh, you have this window asking you to enter a value set. All right. So Maskani group account. So if we had not enabled security for this value set, then it wouldn't show up here. Okay. So the ones that have security rules enabled are the ones that will show up here. Now this is the screen I was telling you about, and you can see that so there's 3 levels. So here we have the value set. Under the value set, that value set can have one or more rules. Okay, and then each rule under it will have the security rule elements, and we are going to see what those are. Okay, so what are the rules we want to enter? This, okay. So since the senior level accesses all accounts, they don't have any security rules that is restricting them from accessing any data. Okay, so we're going to create these 2 security rules for the mid-level. They cannot access payables accounts, and for the junior, they cannot access the cash accounts. Like I said, they're just random rules to help us understand the concept. Okay, so let's give a name to the first rule we're going to create, no payables access. All right, so we can call it no payables access, no access to payables accounts. What does this message mean? This is the error message that the user will get when they try to break or to go against those security rules. Okay, so this is should make it user friendly or easy to understand. So you can say you have no access to account. Okay, so this is the security rule. Okay, so we have to come down here and define the security rule elements. Now we have seen this format before. Okay, when we were doing the cross validation rules. So we enter values for security rules as include and exclude ranges. Okay, so what do we want to include first? We're dealing with the natural account value set. So we want to include everything in the value set. All right. So we're using 7 figures. We're using 7 figures to 7 characters for our values. Okay. So we want to do that to that. Okay. So that's what we want to include, which is everything. So what do we want to exclude? Come down here, exclude. We can enter a range. All right, we can enter a range, or we can just enter one, which is uh, for our example, that's what we are doing. So just the payables account. All right. So that's the first security rule, and we can save that. The second security rule is also affecting the same value set. Okay. So we come here and enter the second security rule. So no cash access. So no access to cash accounts. And we can put the error message as the same also. You have no access to account. Let's define the security rule elements. What do we want to include? We want to include everything in this value set. Okay, and what do we want to exclude? We want to exclude the cash account, which is 1,000. Or let's do the cash account and the CSR account, okay, for a range. So that CSR account, okay, and we can save. So we have defined our security rules. Now, in order to put these security rules to use, we need to assign them to a responsibility, okay, and then assign that responsibility to a user. Now, we can't assign right now because we haven't created that uh, those responsibilities. So what we need to do now is go and create new responsibilities. Okay. So we have saved that. Let's close this. Let's create a new responsibility by going to System Administrator. Then go to Security. So let's give a name to our responsibility. We're going to call it Maskani Group. The first one we can just call it mid-level. The dash in there, which is owned by the general ledger application. Menu group should be GL super user. EL underscore super. Okay. Data group should be standard. The general ledger. This should be GL concurrent program group. Okay. So that's our responsibility. That's the first one. We can save that. Let's come here, create the second, and we can call it Maskani Group Junior Level. Owned by General Ledger. Menu group. So that's the second responsibility, and we can save it. What is the next thing that we need to do? Let's go and assign these responsibilities to a user, since we are here already. So I need to put this in query mode. Okay. Let's do that again. Go to query mode. Wow, that's funny. Okay, so that's my user. I want to come here and add a new responsibility, and it's going to be Maskani Group Junior Level. Okay, and then let's add another one. It's going to be Maskani Group Mid-Level. So we have assigned responsibilities to the user. Let's save that and close. Okay. So our responsibilities are our user. So we have this first part right here, going from user to responsibility. All we need to do now is assign the security roles to the responsibility. So let's go back to Oracle, switch responsibility. Let's go to, okay, close that first. I was logged in as the wrong user, I believe, but that's fine because some of those functions, they're universal, so our changes will still be, yeah, our changes will still be there, but I need to log in correctly to access those responsibilities. So you can see our responsibilities are here. All right. So now let's log in as Maskani Group GL super user. Let's go to security validation. Can you see assign? All right. So the value set we want is Maskani group account. So this is a screen where we assign the security rules to the responsibility. All right. So the application that owns the responsibility is general ledger. The responsibility we want to do is Maskani mid-level, and the name of the rule is, let me see, should have a list here. So mid-level was no payables. It doesn't really matter, but that's how we did it in the slides. So junior level, no access to cash. So we have assigned the security rules to responsibility, and we can save that. Close this window. So this is set, all right? So this is set, and now we can check to see whether our security rules they work, all right? So what do we need to, in order to do this? Let's go and log in as the junior level. So let's try to enter journals. Please make sure that's there's something else that we have not done. Okay, so the security rules, they prevent us from accessing data to a ledger, all right? But that responsibility still needs to have access to that ledger, and that's something that we skipped. So we need to go and assign a data access set to those two responsibilities. Okay, so let's go to switch responsibility, system admin, let's go to profile. So the first one we need to do is level. Profile option is data data access set. That was not a very good search. Let me just say access. Wow, I'm off my game today. So DAT What am I doing wrong? This always gives me the option GL data. So we are going to give it the full so Mascani Group US ledger. Okay, data access set. So that's good. Let's save that. Let's change this to Mascani mid-level. Same profile option. Data access set. So we're good. So now let's go back and log in as those responsibilities that we created. Let's start with the junior level. Okay. Now we can enter journals. Okay. Security rules test. So this is let me make sure we logged in as the. So this is Mascani mid-level. All right. So we don't expect to have access to what? To the payables. So let's try and enter. Oh no, sorry, this is junior level. Okay, so we don't have access to cash. All right, and as you can see, even from this list, it starts from fixed assets. Okay, so even when you try to enter 1,000, you get this message: you have no access to account. Okay, and you have to pick a different account to which you have access. So let's cancel that and can delete this. Let's try the second responsibility. Have to close this first. So file, switch responsibility. That was junior level. Let's do mid-level, where we should have no access to the payables. Okay. And you can see the payables, which is 2,000, is not even in the list. Okay. And if you try to enter this here, you have no access, which is the error message that we put in, the custom error message. Okay. So let's cancel that. So that is our security rules at work. Okay. Now, so let's switch to our super user responsibility. All right. And let's enter a journal. Let's call it security rules test. Let's enter a journal. So we have 001. So let's debit payables. Uh, 100 00. Okay, and let's credit cash. So we have that journal. We debit payables and we credit cash, and let's post this journal. Okay. So this journal affects accounts which are affected by our security rules. For the payables, we cannot see it using the mid-level, and for the cash account, we cannot see it using the junior level. Okay. So let's log into those responsibilities and query that journal. So let's start with the junior level. Let's go to journals, enter, and let's query security test, find. Let's see, it was for what period? August. All right. Let me make sure I posted that journal for the right period. Ah, we are having very many uh, lessons today. So here I believe we got an error because we haven't managed periods for, I believe, one of our reporting currencies journals. Okay, so let's do that really quickly. Make sure that's the case. So August is open. That's fine. Let's check the subledger level. So see, for the subledger level, we didn't even open our first period. Okay, then open period. Let's open August. Let's make sure for our journals level. So for our journals level, everything is okay. So let's close that. So this is why we got the warning, the posting, because we posted a journal and we had not opened the managed periods in our reporting currencies ledger. So I mean that's just a lesson on what happens when you do that. So let's wait for this to finish. So that first one is open. It's taking its time. All right, it's finished. We have a automatic reversal activated there, but that doesn't concern us for now. So let's go to enter journals. Period is August. Let's find. So let's review this journal and let's post it again. So now it should post without error. All right. And we're going to make sure that happens. Come on. So now hopefully it will complete in a few minutes. Let's switch responsibility. What we expect is that we posted a journal with lines that are affected by our security rules that we created. Okay, we want to see what impact it has when we go to view these journals. Okay, so let's log in as the junior level. We want August. So let's see. Okay, this has another error. It has another error, but it's going to serve our purpose for now. So look at this journal. We're only seeing one line, and we know that journals cannot have one line. They have to have two or more lines. Why? Because we're logged in as the junior level responsibility, where we have security rules that prevent the user from accessing any cash account. So the other line in this journal was the cash account, okay, but it's not seen here because this user is not allowed. But you can see that the bottom here, the amounts are okay, the debits and credits are equal. You just can't see the second line, okay? And we can log in, we can switch responsibility, log in as the second responsibility, which was mid-level. Do the same. We want to see a journal for August. Here is the journal. And now this it's the other way around. You can see the cash account, but you can't see the payables. But the debit and credit amounts are equal. All right. So that's how security rules work. You cannot access, you cannot enter data, and you cannot read. So when you implement security rules, it's either you have read and write access or you have no access at all. But these are other characteristics of security rules that we are going to talk about in our next lesson. Okay, so unless Bob, you have something to add, I believe that's a good place to end our lesson for now.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you.